Doomsday Disaster, Start by Building a Shelter. Chapter 1, Refuge from Scratch. Chapter 1, Refuge from Scratch. Hello, please sign for the express delivery. Suburbs. Outside the shabby farmyard. The courier carried several heavy cardboard boxes on the electric tricycle. Su-Wu took the pen, glanced at the cardboard box a few times, confirmed that there was no bump, and lowered his head to sign the express delivery form. Are you going to build a shelter here? I bought so many tools. While Su-Wu was checking the express delivery, the courier asked curiously. You also heard of that doomsday rumor? Su-Wu raised his eyebrows, quite surprised. That's of course, our work group is discussing this today. There are a lot of things on the market now that are expensive and difficult to buy. Something must have happened, which caused the state to secretly control it. Maybe it's true that the doomsday is coming soon. A hint of worry flashed between the courier's words. The end of the world is not a game of joking. When ordinary people meet, they can't fight. It makes some sense. Su-Wu nodded seriously. But there is no need to worry. If something really happens, the country will definitely provide us with the bottom line so that we will not be unable to survive. Hope that's the case. The courier sighed, his expression still not very good. The country may take action, but the quality of life will be unsure. The Earth in parallel world. All continents belong to a unified federal government. Technology is a big lead compared to Su-Wu's world before traveling through time. Even controllable nuclear fusion shows signs of breakthrough. It can be said that it has arrived on the eve of the interstellar voyage and colonial era. However, all the good prospects are good. No matter how far the end of the world is coming. Whether human civilization still has a future needs to be put into a big question. Carry the express boxes into the yard one by one. Su-Wu carefully locked the door and looked around. He is in a large yard. In addition to the corner to the east, there is an old two-story house. Other places are filled with cement, sand, corner iron, steel bars, cans, plastic bottles, as well as various used household appliances and tires. When an unknown outsider comes in, he will definitely think that this is a waste item recycling bin. Commonly known as rag picking. But in fact, it's almost the same. Most of the things in the yard are the results of Su-Wu's wholesale from the waste item recycling stations in the city in the past half-month. Su-Wu spent 6 million in cash for this. Don't think it's expensive. Not to mention other things, just look at the most valuable of more than 3,000 tons of various scrap metals. No matter how bad it is, the price of a pound of iron is worth 607 cents. The most expensive steel bars are even more than £1 per pound. Can buy it for 6 million. It was already considered that Su-Wu was very careful in his calculations and worked hard for many days. A house. I got these things. Su-Wu felt a sigh in his heart, it was not a pity or a melancholy. He came over more than half a month ago. Living in a residential building in a coastal first-tier city. That is the only property left to him by the original parents of this world. At the same time, there is also a 2 million yuan compensation for parents' death from their car accident. If there is no end of the world. With the house and these compensations. Su-Wu can even live a carefree life that he could only imagine in his dreams without having to work for the rest of his life. But everything has no if. After the apocalyptic survival system that he traveled through with him was activated. When Su-Wu learned that the end of the world was coming, he immediately sold his house where he had settled. With the money and compensation I received, I hurried to an ordinary city with a high terrain in the central mainland. Jianghe City. I rented the farmyard where he is now in the suburbs. We plan to build a shelter on site to deal with the upcoming disaster of the doomsday. It's still too late. If I could travel through time earlier. Maybe I can even get a piece of abandoned underground air raid shelter. That's much better than it is now. Su-Wu was not very satisfied with this courtyard. The ideal address for building a shelter is an underground air raid shelter or a cave in the mountains. Not only is there a large space, it can also save most of the construction costs. But unfortunately, when Su-Wu tried to search for relevant information, These places that were once unwilling. Either it has been recruited by the government or sold it early. So Su Wu kept searching online for more than 10 hours, but couldn't find any suitable place. When it is a last resort, I can only settle for the second best and choose the current yard. Create refuges from scratch. The advantage is not enough, but at least the surrounding environment is safe and the prices are low. It is much better than the first-tier cities by the sea. A phone call sounded. Su Wu took out his cell phone from his pocket and connected. Boss Su, your basement construction application has been approved. No mistakes, 1 song, 1 content, 1 in 6, 1 book, 1 bar, 1 reading. I've passed the license document to you on WeChat. The intermediary's excited voice came from the phone. Thanks. I'll confirm it later and I'll call you the final payment. Su Wu said in a calm voice. The order is still there now. Even in remote suburbs. If you want to dig the land and build an underground shelter, it is not something you can dig by just digging. You must first obtain the approval of the government. In order to be able to pass the application. In addition to signing the 20-year lease contract for the farmyard, he also paid a full 50,000 yuan to find an agent to help. Fortunately, everything went well and it didn't take too long. It's just right now. The boss is happy. Hang up the phone. Su Wu continued to carry the several express boxes under his feet into the room. In the first-floor living room, on the clean solid wood table, Su Wu carefully dismantled one of the cartons. He carefully took out a pair of robotic arms about 70 centimeters long wrapped in layers of plastic foam. The materials are very solid and the joints are very flexible. After a little check, Su Wu was quite satisfied. It is worthy of being a high-end product with a unit price of up to 16,000 yuan. All workmanship is above the level line. But while being satisfied, Su Wu still couldn't help feeling a little sad. Although the quality of this kind of robotic arm is undeniable, it can be bought for up to 8,000 yuan a month ago. Not only does the price double now, but it is still purchasing restrictions. After Su Wu bought the sets he could never buy them again. But now is not the time to consider these issues. Focus a little bit. Su Wu aimed his eyes at a robotic arm on the table. A light curtain that only he could see popped up in his field of view. An equivalent mechanical arm. Fitness, 90%. Evaluation, this is a qualified robotic arm that can be used for some simple production operations. Upgrade direction, industrial robot arm I universal skillful hand, 1 survival point, industrial robot arm 2 high-frequency oscillation cutting knife, 1 survival point, industrial robot arm 3 high-energy smelting laser emitter, 2 survival points. The sight stays on the third option. Su Wu had a slight thought and made a choice. Select the upgrade direction, industrial robotic arm 3 high-energy smelting laser emitter. A glimmer of light flashed on the robotic arm. The robotic arm instantly renovated and became even more shiny and thicker. At the same time, at the end of it, the 5 fingers originally imitated by human form disappeared, replaced by a transparent crystal the size of a fist. Su Wu knew that transparent crystal. It should be the biggest change brought about by this upgrade, the high-energy smelting laser emitter. Look at the system panel. Deducting this upgrade consumption, there are still 14 points left to be available. So there was no hesitation. Another express carton was opened, and the 2 new robotic arms were upgraded in the other 2 directions. Now the whole set of robotic arms is complete, which should meet the needs of manufacturing universal engineering robots. The fingertips slashed across the hard shell of the robotic arm, experiencing the cool texture transmitted by the metal. An uncontrollable excitement and expectation surged in Su Wu's heart. There are also bursts of dreamy unreality. I worked hard for half a month. Finally, I was able to truly obtain the first high-tech tool to surpass the current era. From this moment on, his fate will completely become different from the ordinary people on this planet. Have the ability to transport a refuge from imagination to reality bit by bit. End of this chapter. Doomsday Disaster, start by building a shelter. Chapter 2, Scarce Supplies. Chapter 2, The Scarce Materials. After a brief inspection, Suwoo carefully installed the 3 upgraded robot arms on a robot leaning against the corner of the wall. That robot. There is no head, only the torso and legs that are simply pieced together with metal brackets and steel plates. Say it's a robot. In fact, it is a model with rough workmanship. After installing 3 heavy robotic arms, it even trembled slightly. It looks like it only takes a slight poke with your finger to put it down. Just use it. I found that the robot did not fall apart. Suwoo is actually quite satisfied. After all, in order to save money, I can no longer buy anything similar on the market. This model was something he used to rub it out bit by bit a few days ago. There is no need to expect anything in terms of quality. Fake short engineering robots. Fitness, 40%. Evaluation, this is an immovable simulation model. Although it has a qualified robotic arm, it still cannot undertake any engineering work. Upgrade direction, General Light Engineering Robot, 15 survival points. The fit is 40%, which is still quite far from passing the exam based on the percentage. But everything needs to be compared. Before installing the 3 upgraded robotic arms, the fit was only 1%, a 40-fold difference. The survival points required for upgrading have reached an unattainable triple-digit number. Now it has been reduced to a level where you only need 15 survival points to upgrade. It's already extremely amazing. It also fully demonstrates that Suwoo first upgraded 3 robotic arms and gave priority to building high fit. Only. The 15 survival point is still a bit high for Suwoo. With a little concentration, Suwoo focused his attention on the line of fit. More detailed information pops up immediately on the panel. Shows 100 kilograms of material missing. This is a small thing. With a budget of millions and a half month of trash, Suwoo is most in short supply of various common raw materials. I went out and picked and selected in the yard for a while. Suwoo dragged a cart of scrap steel bars and wires, plus a few electronic boards, and piled them next to the robot. Looking at it again this time, the degree of fit has increased to 55%. The survival points required for upgrading are reduced by 3 points. Suwoo knew that this was the limit he could save at the moment. So I no longer hesitated and officially upgraded the robot. After the light, all the materials and models piled on the ground disappeared. Instead, it is an engineering robot that is about 2 meters tall, covered with silver-white metal, has 3 precision robotic arms, and is full of technological beauty. Get local materials and make AM3 model screw. Suwoo tried to issue an order. The engineering robot in front of him responded with a dripping sound. Use a high-frequency oscillation cutting knife on the robotic arm to cut a small piece of the abandoned corner iron that fell not far away. Then, with a skillful skill in picking up the cut scrap iron, using magnetic force to suspend it in the air, and then using the high-energy smelting laser emitter on another robotic arm to emit a dark red beam to shine it on it, and carve it out. Carefully crafted. After more than 10 seconds, a standard screw gradually formed. Looking at the engineering robot's smooth operation, Suwoo nodded slightly. Quite satisfied. If efficiency and material quality are not considered. With the performance of this engineering robot, most industrial parts can be basically manufactured and welding and assembly work can be completed. It is equivalent to having both machine tools and assembly workshop functions. I will be liberated in the future. I won't have to do it myself anymore. Recalling the experience of rubbing the robot model with his hands a few days ago, Suwoo still feels a little pain in his fingers until now. For someone who is not good at handcraft, even assembling a simple robot model is a very difficult project. Suwoo really doesn't want to experience the same thing again. The engineering robot's functions were tested to meet expectations. Suwoo excitedly opened his laptop and called out a design drawing of the drilling machine and geothermal generator that had been prepared long ago. This is the equipment he needs to make next. Really start construction of a refuge. The first prerequisite required is to have sufficient and stable electricity. In this regard, it is not very reliable to count on the outside world. As early as half a month ago, the federal government imposed strict restrictions on civil and commercial electricity. The supply of civil electricity is limited, and the monthly share of each household is not enough for an air conditioner to be open. Although commercial electricity is not limited, the electricity price has increased tenfold. There are also extremely high requirements for use qualifications. With Su Wu's current conditions, it is basically impossible to successfully apply. And if you generate electricity by yourself? No mistakes, 1 song, 1 content, 1 in 6, 1 book, 1 bar, 1 reading. The lowest cost is the diesel engine. But diesel and gasoline are also controlled items now. Private cannot be purchased separately. Even if you drive over and refuel, the same car and the same driver's license will only be able to fill up twice a month. With such a little weight, it is even difficult to ensure normal travel. Not to mention it for power generation. Wind and hydraulic power, as well as solar energy, either have huge investment or limited power generation. And in the end of the world, they are not very stable. After all the calculations, Su Wu discovered that in the end, there was only a geothermal generator, which was most in line with the requirements. But the same sentence. Material control is now. For relatively high-end equipment like geothermal generators, you can't even think of buying it even if you have money. You can buy a drilling machine. But the price has soared hundreds of times higher than usual. Adding up all the money left in Su Wu's hands is not enough for a fraction. The only feasible way. Only make it yourself. This is also the reason why Su Wu has been struggling for so long and has not started construction until now. There is no engineering robot that can replace machine tools and processing equipment, everything is just delusion. Transfer the design drawings to the engineering robot. Send it to work in the yard. Su Wu adjusted a comfortable position and leaned on the back of the chair. Looking at the laptop screen, transmitted by the engineering robot, who was rushing to the destination. The progress bar of cutting the material, an unspeakable feeling of comfort arose in his heart. And light. Since I learned from the apocalypse survival system half a month ago that I will face the end of the day soon. God knows how he has come to this point step by step. While feeling anxious, I kept screening for suitable shelter addresses. Collect materials to build shelters to build relationships. Every minute and every second passes incredibly torment. I was afraid that I would waste too much time because I made a mistake in a certain link and ended up failing. And now. This sense of urgency finally disappeared with the emergence of the first fully automatic engineering robot. The professional ability and efficiency of engineering robots are not comparable to that of him, an ordinary person. Even when sleeping late at night. Robots can also work stably without sleeping. Don't worry about any accidents in the middle. End of this chapter. Doomsday disaster, start by building a shelter. Chapter 3, light up half of the town's electricity. Chapter 3, light up half of the town's electricity. There are enough materials and robot helpers. It's like entering a fast lane. The shelter will definitely be built smoothly. What a surprise is going to happen, that's no longer my problem. Get out of busyness and anxiety. Su Wu has free time to think about the future. He didn't know much about the specific news about the end of the world. It is just that from the apocalyptic survival system, it is vague to know that it is related to extreme climates. It may be high temperature or extreme cold. It may also be viral radiation, or earthquake flooding. But no matter what kind of disaster it is, it focuses on extinction of surface creatures all over the world. The consequence of contempt is that it turns into ashes under natural disasters. As for the time when the end of the world comes, Su Wu only knew that it was within half a year. Specifically, it is within 6 months, within 1 month, or even within 1 or 2 weeks. Only guessing. This uncertain time once put great pressure on Su Wu. So Su Wu doesn't need to work in person now. Otherwise, maybe we haven't waited for the end of the world to come. His body collapsed in anxiety first. The country should have already known some news about the end of the world. Maybe it's clearer than me. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such strict material control. Even if you buy more sugar and rice, you have to sign a guarantee letter. Lenovo first came, online shopping failed and could only buy daily necessities in supermarkets and grain and oil stores to store. Unexpectedly. Just because I bought more than 40 kilograms of sugar at one time and 10 bags of rice. The security administrator came to him in person. Su Wu's face couldn't help but turn a little black. This is simply not a way for ordinary people to live. Even if you get the news in advance, you want to stockpile supplies and take refuge. Ordinary people don't think about how much they can get. It doesn't matter if the rice is 500 kilograms of 10 bags are enough to eat for a long time. When the shelter is built into soilless cultivation, there is no shortage of farms. Sugar is a little troublesome. That thing is very useful in the end times. I still have to find a way to get a few more batches. Su Wu thought that he was already doing this. Although you need to register an ID card to buy sugar, most people don't use much. It's not a big problem to hire a few more people, and after making a second-hand deal, it's not a big deal to get a few hundred kilograms. Moreover, there are more than white sugar things with high sugar content. Scan some unsold candies, no one will care. In addition to sugar, salt, vitamin tablets, various commonly used chemicals for curing diseases, tobacco, alcohol and seasonings, etc., are also hard currency with high value in the future. These regulations are relatively loose, but the prices are not cheap. Due to the funds in hand, the amount of money that can be purchased is also limited. However, it is more than enough to just meet your own needs and to have a minimum foreign transaction. After considering his own shelter, Su Wu couldn't help but sigh. The official controls so much material. I hope their shelter is well prepared. Or otherwise, I don't know how many people will die at that time. He is not a kind-hearted person. But things hurt their kind. If you really want the future, he will be the only one left in the whole world. That wouldn't be a good thing either. Humans are all social animals after all. The importance of spiritual food is not much lower than that of reality. The night gradually descends. A farmyard located in a deserted suburb. Except for the noise created by the construction of engineering robots, everything is as calm as before. When the time arrives late at night, a series of brand new information was quietly refreshed on Su Wu's system panel. Today's survival point settlement. Survival for 1 day successfully, survival point +1. Successfully manufactured a general light engineering robot, with a slight increase in survivability. Survival point +2. Get the first fully automatic tool and move from the manual era to the mechanical processing era. The chance of surviving the end of the world has been greatly increased. Survival point +75. Current remaining survival points, 78 points. 75 o'clock. So many rewards. Su Wu's eyes twitched, and he was a little puzzled for a moment if he had read it wrong. Although I have vaguely guessed that I might receive a generous bonus through my previous research on the rules of the Apocalypse system. But giving 75 points at one time was beyond his expectations. Before that, he will only get a guaranteed income of a little survival point every day. It seems that I underestimated the importance of engineering robots. After being surprised, Su Wu couldn't help but feel grateful that he chose to prioritize the construction of engineering robots. With this huge amount of unexpected money, the construction progress of the shelter will undoubtedly be further accelerated. A bright future is within reach. No words all night. The next day at noon. After more than 20 hours of work, a small drilling machine and a geothermal generator were born in the hands of engineering robots. Su Wu stepped forward to check. It is found that from the appearance, they are almost exactly the same as the styles on the design drawings. It's neat and it's like getting off the assembly line. Incomplete drilling machine. Fitness, 85%. Evaluation. The drilling machine that lacks some core parts is unable to operate normally. No mistakes, 1 song, 1 content, 1 in 6, 1 book, 1 bar, 1 reading. Upgrade direction, 1 kilometer level, 3 survival points, 5 kilometers level, 20 survival points, and 10 kilometers level, 60 survival points. Unfinished geothermal generator. Fitness, 75%. Evaluation. Semi-finished generators lacking a large number of important components within, and there is little difference between them and the model. Upgrade direction, 300 kilowatts per hour of small geothermal generator, 13 survival points. The two equipment are either incomplete or incomplete. None of them can be used normally. This is not surprising, because it is the result of Su Wu's active choice. Although engineering robots can theoretically create most parts, the time it can be consumed is not necessarily guaranteed. The more precise the part, the longer it takes. If you have to pursue perfection without 10 days and half a month, it is basically impossible to build a complete drilling machine and a geothermal generator. And when that time comes, maybe the end of the world will come. It's better to create only one semi-finished product like now. The rest will be filled directly with the survival point. This practice, it not only saves time, but also greatly reduces the expenses of survival points. It can be called the king of cost-effectiveness. Searched for relevant information. Su Wu hesitated for a while, gritted his teeth and chose to upgrade the 10-kilometer drilling machine. It was not a luxury, but he had no choice. The central region of mainland China where Jianhe City is located lacks volcanoes and hot springs, and is not a geothermal resource belt in the traditional sense. To truly run a geothermal generator, the pipeline must be paved deep into the ground. Such a huge project is far beyond ordinary drilling machines to undertake. Hopefully enough. Seeing the large amount of survival points spilling out, Su Wu's heartache expression couldn't help but collapse. But he knew in his heart that this step would be taken sooner or later. Electricity is the foundation of construction and survival. Without electricity, everything will eventually become a mirror. The upgraded 10-kilometer level extreme drilling machine is equivalent to the size of a bus in a contracted state. The expanded state can cover almost half of the football field. It belongs to a real behemoth. Fortunately, it is extremely automated and even has rollers and a certain amount of power. Su Wu successfully activated it without spending much energy. But because of no similar work experience. After entering construction state, Su Wu's operation seemed a little busy and bumpy. I went to the evening of the next day. In addition to the intermediate rest time, it took more than 20 hours to barely lay the pipes to a depth of more than 9,000 meters underground. Look at the data sent back from the end probe. This position is enough to keep the geothermal generator running normally. There is no limit to pursuing 10 kilometers. Su Wu stopped just now, and decided to finish the work very decisively, and instead started installing a geothermal generator. Expend 13 survival points to upgrade geothermal generators. Various performances are better than the data on the design drawings. It has basically reached the top level in the world at present, and the interface is also very humane. This made Su Wu very easy to install. 2 hours later. A row of green indicator lights on the geothermal generator. Su Wu's own generator officially started to operate. Good. The power generation power reaches the rated value and can produce 300 kilowatt-hours in 1 hour. For a long time in the future, you won't have to worry about electricity. Looking at the real-time power generation power displayed on the small display screen of the geothermal generator, Su Wu was wiped out by the fatigue caused by long-term concentration and his mood became extremely comfortable. What is the concept of 300 kilowatt-hours per hour? That is equivalent to the power generation of a small hydropower station with an investment of about 20 million yuan. It is enough to meet the consumption of 10,000 ordinary household electric lights at the same time, and can light up half a town at night. Having it is like having an infinite future. End of this chapter. Doomsday Disaster. Start by building a shelter. Chapter 4, The Turbulence in Calm Daily Life. Chapter 4, The Turbulence in Calm Daily Life. This time, a drop of rain fell from the sky to Su Wu's face, bringing him a wisp of cold chill. Su Wu raised his head, looked at the sky that had become dim before he knew it, and his eyebrows gently locked up. He found himself seemingly overlooking certain issues. We have to find a way to build a rain shed for the generator first. There is also a greenhouse where cement bags are placed. We have to find a way to increase the bottom and prepare for drainage. The geothermal generator itself has certain waterproof functions. However, the chance of failure in heavy rain is somewhat higher than that in normal conditions. It is necessary to build a rain shed for it. Not to mention cement. This task is quite simple for Su Wu now. Go on one order. The engineering robot began to select materials in the scrap iron pile. Using its sharp cutting knife and a laser emitter that can melt gold and iron, we will build the prototype of the rain protection canopy bit by bit. Late at night. The clouds that had been accumulated for a long time finally began to completely pour down the heavy rain. Su Wu hid in the bedroom on the second floor, looking through the window toward the yard. The lights in the temporary awning are now transparent. The geothermal generator operates stably. A row of dark green indicator lights representing abundant electricity makes people feel extremely at ease when looking at it. Next to the generator, the engineering robot is still working endlessly. According to Su Wu's plan, it will continue to build a mini excavator and a mini transport vehicle and form a simple construction team, used to dig up underground space in place enough to accommodate a small shelter. The progress is a little faster than expected. Let's take a look after it's finished. If there are not many survival points required for upgrading, you may consider selling a few units in the future. Looking at the tracks and chassis that have taken shape in the hands of the engineering robot, Su Wu pondered the materials and production time and thought it was acceptable. My mind couldn't help but become active. Not his money-loving. But the profits here are really huge. A mini excavator. According to the normal price in the past, it was about 30,000 yuan. And when Su Wu crossed over and wanted to try to buy one, the price soared 50 times. And there is still priceless, and if you really want to get it, you will have to be at least 2 million yuan. Such a huge price difference. Anyone who can sell 2 units can increase Su Wu's current material reserves several times. He became a rich man in the end of the world. Of course, for now, the sale is just an idea. The shadow of Doomsday may come at any time. The shelter is the foundation of Su Wu's survival. All transactions must be tried without affecting the progress of the shelter construction. Su Wu still knew very clearly which one is more important here. Watch the work of the engineering robot for a while. I found that I had nothing to help. Su Wu withdrew his gaze, turned on his laptop, and started to watch the news. Mainstream media on the internet. Still, as usual, some trivial matters were reported. However, some self-media have more or less mentioned some issues that market controls have become more severe in recent days. However, the prices of ordinary food, rice, oil and salt have not changed much. It has not affected daily life. Ordinary people don't have much feelings about this. The related playback volume is generally not high. It is suspected that all toy factories in Dongzhou have been suspended from production and workers in the factory were recruited on the spot by the Dongzhou government to join the construction team. A piece of news caught Su Wu's attention. He tried to click to check it out, but found that the original site of the news had expired. It's the same again. Su Wu was a little helpless. The federal government in this world has more strict control over the internet. Many things are as long as the government does not want to make them public. Even if it happens in the neighborhood next door and affects millions of people, don't think of finding any useful clues on the internet. At most, some news of catching up on the wind and shadow can be heard in more private chat groups. But there are too many outrageous rumors in the chat group, and ordinary people cannot tell whether they are true or not. It's almost the same as not knowing. If Su Wu hadn't had the end-of-life survival system, he might have been the same as ordinary people now. Living in the cage of false information woven by the internet. I wouldn't realize that the disaster was about to come. The source of the news just now was not found. From the side, it has a certain authenticity. Su Wu carefully recalled the title he saw. No mistakes, one song, one content, 1 in 6, one book, one bar, one reading. My mood became a little heavier again. The suspension of work in the toy factory seems like a trivial matter. In fact, behind it means that there have been serious problems in the operation of this society. It can no longer support unimportant industries to occupy manpower and limited resources. In other words, at present, it should be almost time to openly announce this step before comprehensive control. So this continues. I'm afraid I can only barter from now on. Thinking of the bad environment in the future, Su-woo felt even more stressed. Fortunately, the money he had spent almost the same amount. Although there are not many supplies reserved. But everything that should be prepared is ready, enough for him to use it alone for 3 to 5 years. As for 3 to 5 years later, there are survival points, this magical plug-in that is almost like a creation out of thin air. If the development goes smoothly, at that time, he should have been able to achieve self-sufficiency. Don't worry about materials. Early in the morning. As a new day comes, the system panel begins to settle the harvest of the day. Today's survival point settlement. Survival for 1 day successfully, survival point +1. Successfully manufactured a geothermal generator, and its survivability increased slightly. Survival point +3. Get the first personal power station and start the industrial era. Survival point +25. Current remaining survival points, 34 points. There are more and more survival points. I saw that after completing the huge project of installing a geothermal generator, there were still more than 30 survival points. Su-woo felt abnormal stability and satisfaction for a moment. These survival points. All will be his future survival guarantee. The next day. Morning. Some dazzling sunlight broke through the clouds and shone into the bedroom. Su-woo got up and washed up. Go out to check. It was discovered that the engineering robot had completed the construction of the micro-excavator, and by the way, even a small half of the micro-transport truck was built. Focus on the micro-excavator. An upgrade panel pops up immediately. Miniature excavator lacks power. Fitness, 90%. Evaluation, in addition to the slight flaw in the power and materials, its craftsmanship is impeccable. Upgrade direction, micro-excavator diesel version, 2 survival points, micro-excavator battery version, 5 survival points, micro-excavator unmanned version, 7 survival points. End of this chapter. Doomsday Disaster, start by building a shelter. Chapter 5, Micro-excavator. Chapter 5 Micro-excavator. 3 optional upgrade directions made Su-woo's eyes shiny. Needless to say, the diesel version is probably similar to the ordinary micro-excavators sold on the market, but they can't stand it cheap. Only 2 survival points are needed, and used second-hand items worth up to thousands of yuan. It can be exchanged for a brand new micro-excavator with a market price of more than 1 million yuan. If used well, this is a ladder that can allow Su-woo to climb the rich. The only shame is that in the context of the upcoming apocalypse, the so-called rich man is not that attractive. No hurry. Now the currency is almost a coupon, so it's useless to ask for too much. If you bargain, the value is there anyway, and you can change it anytime. Su-woo restrained his impulse and turned his gaze to the other 2 options. Compared to diesel version, the battery version and the unmanned version are more in line with his current needs. He couldn't get the excess diesel. However, after putting into operation of a geothermal generator, there is no possibility of lack of electricity at all. As for the unmanned version, it is actually a comprehensive feature package. Includes battery power, as well as unmanned driving and automatic construction. Among them, unmanned driving and automatic construction are added. It is also very important for Su-woo. After all, Su-woo is the only one. At the same time, for cost and confidentiality, workers cannot be hired to dig underground shelters. The appearance of the unmanned version is equivalent to solving his urgent needs. Upgrade unmanned version. Su-woo did not hesitate too much. The full 29 points of survival obtained in a day yesterday gave him confidence and a little extravagant at this time. After an instant upgrade, a miniature excavator with no driving position, no longer than 1.5 meters in length, and a sci-fi appearance, appeared in front of Su-woo. Su-woo checked closely. Discover his laptop, which can be wirelessly linked to the micro-excavator's onboard computer. Then, through the laptop, you can directly issue instructions to the micro-excavator remotely and arrange work tasks. Total weight is 1.5 tons. When operating at full power, 2 kWh per hour is consumed. The car battery capacity is 40 degrees, and the maximum charging time is 2 hours. The data are all pretty good. Compared with the products on the market, it should be considered to have been upgraded for at least half a generation. There was no rush to start the micro-excavator. Su Wu first checked its basic data through the tips of the Apocalypse survival system. It was found that both the battery capacity and the charging speed were twice that of the same specifications on the market. This is not a stunning black technology. But the technical level is already enough to be rated as an advanced level, barely worthy of its upgrade cost of 3 times the diesel version. If the social environment is stable. Through the reverse research on this vehicle-mounted battery, you may become a regional rich man. Pity. After fiddling for a while, I satisfied my curiosity. Su Wu ran back to the bedroom and connected to a micro-excavator with his laptop. Then the shelter design drawings were brought up from the second-hand trading market. Transfer to the onboard computer for mini-excavators. After more than 10 seconds of data matching, the onboard computer sends a prompt that the match is successful. Then the mini-excavator located in the yard starts to start the engine and excavate the soil on the ground on the spot according to the plan on the design drawing. And at the same time, on Su Wu's laptop screen, a virtual underground shelter structure diagram is displayed. The above also includes the outline of the farmyard on the surface, the geological conditions of the underground, the location of the excavator, etc. Even at which stage the project is carried out, the expected remaining excavation time is clearly marked. It is both detailed and clear. This is a very powerful degree of automation. I found that I didn't seem to have any room to intervene. Su Wu had the illusion of playing a game for a moment. He turned his head, passed through the bedroom window, looked down at the mini-excavator, and slowly dug it downward on the flat ground in the yard. It took a long time to come back to my senses. Now is not the time to waste time. He got up and walked downstairs to the yard. Su Wu walked around the place where the mini-excavator worked. Make a good position. He picked up an electric hammer and smashed it towards the yard wall. The farmyard where he lives is located in the suburbs. The main entrance of the yard is close to the road, and behind it is a deserted rocky beach. It takes up not much space, but it is not small. If you go out from the main entrance, then go around to the rocky beach behind. It takes a long journey. To this end. No mistakes, 1 song, 1 content, 1 in 6, 1 book, 1 bar, 1 reading. Su Wu planned to reopen an exit on the wall near the rocky beach behind, so that the transport trucks can pass through when they dump soil and rocks in the future. This is a rare place he can help in the process of building a shelter. But the plan was very good. In actual implementation, there was a little deviation. This seemingly simple job is an unusual test of physical strength. When Su Wu was panting, he barely smashed a gap of 2 or 3 meters wide to the courtyard wall. It's already 3 hours later. This is the time. Su Wu was so tired that he almost lost the strength to lift the electric hammer. Never do this again next time. Su Wu felt a little regretful and underestimated the intensity of labor in advance. He leaned against the wall for a while. Wipe the sweat and drink a can of Coke to rehydrate. Then clean up the ground briefly. Return to the yard. The engineering robots in the hospital are almost finished building the micro-transport vehicle. Su Wu simply waited there. As soon as the engineering robot was completed, it took 5 survival points to upgrade it. Upgraded mini-transporter. It looks like a large toy. The length of the vehicle is less than 2 meters. Because it's unmanned. There is no cockpit on it, it is just a track chassis, plus a truck that can be loaded with up to 2 or 3 cubic earth and stone. Maximum driving speed, 20 kilometers per hour. Load bearing, 5 tons. Car battery capacity, 40 degrees. Maximum continuous operation, 40 hours. As a transport vehicle, its speed is pitifully low, between tools and large toys. However, Su Wu was quite satisfied with this. He specially arranged for engineering robots to make track chassis, but he did not pursue speed at all. As long as you can drive smoothly on mud and piles of rocks, you can complete the short-distance transportation of soil and rocks. That's enough. As for load. Perhaps it is because the track chassis is relatively strong and the engine power is sufficient. Its load-bearing cap is up to 5 tons. Even if the car bucket is filled with rocks, you can drive normally without any pressure. As for the construction of a shelter alone, this transport vehicle has almost no disadvantages. No hesitation. Su Wu quickly organized the freshly released transport vehicle into the engineering team. Immediately. Accompanied by the rotation of the metal bearings on the mini-transporter. It began to slowly drive towards the construction site. In conjunction with the mini-excavator, the soil and gravel that had already accumulated in the yard into small hills was transported and dumped to the rocky beach outside the yard. End of this chapter. Doomsday Disaster. Start by building a shelter. Chapter 6, a gradually forming construction team. Chapter 6, the gradually forming construction team. The engineering team can start construction normally now. Although there is only one excavator and one transport vehicle. However, the combination of the two can already form a simple cycle. Really promote the continuous operation of mining projects. But just this is not perfect. The soil of this construction shelter chosen by Su Wu is relatively soft. Digging underground space is not difficult. However, the possibility of collapse during construction has also increased a lot. Therefore, the process of strengthening underground space must be carried out simultaneously with excavation. Can't relax at all. I took a look at the dugout by the mini-excavator. At this time, because the distance is still short, I can't tell anything. But Su Wu knew that if he left it alone, he would let the micro-excavator continue to excavate later. It is very likely that the excavator will be buried in the soil by itself. Back to the bedroom. Su Wu turned on the laptop. In one go, we continued to add the task of manufacturing construction robots and small cement mixers. Both manufacturing tasks are not difficult. A few hours passed. After investing another 5 points of survival points to upgrade. A human-shaped construction robot appeared in front of Su Wu. Compared with engineering robots, construction robots are extremely cheap. Only 1/3 of the former. Its body shape is more human-like. The ends of the only 2 robotic arms are bionic 5 fingers. Ability to flexibly use various human building tools. It can also be used to carry goods occasionally or act as a bodyguard. He can be regarded as a multi-purpose standard worker. The emergence of construction robots has truly made up for the last shortcomings of the engineering team. Free Su Wu from labor completely. At least like before. The work of opening an exit on the courtyard wall no longer needs Su Wu to do it himself. Just give the construction robot a command and it can be completed automatically. To reinforcement channels. Su Wu assigned tasks to the construction robot. At this time, after nearly a day of excavation work, the mini-excavator has dug a decent entrance to the passage in the yard. It just needs to be reinforced. This temporary reinforcement. It is best to use wood. Cheap and fast. However, since Su Wu could not buy those things for a while, he could only use steel bar angle iron instead. This practice is secondary to waste. The key is that engineering robots also need to take some time to help cut and weld some qualified boards. This indirectly affects other manufacturing tasks of engineering robots. What a pity, it would be great if I could go to the mountain to cut some trees. The suburbs of the city where Su Wu is located are not short of barren mountains and ridges. But now the social order has not collapsed. Even though we know that the end of the world is coming, the possibility of those forests surviving is extremely small. It is impossible to cut down wantonly. I felt sorry for a while. Su Wu quickly calmed down. There is no need to be too greedy. His situation is already very good now. There is an ultra-efficient construction team that can work 24 hours a day, and also its own territory that can be used to build shelters. It's a big lead over most people. Those ordinary people who live in the city and don't know that the end of the world is really miserable. At that time, they can only rely on official shelter to have enough space for accommodation. And even if you are lucky enough to get in, you can imagine how good your life is. Evening. The yard is brightly lit. 2 robots and 2 engineering vehicles kept digging and strengthening the passage leading to the underground. It brings a very busy scene. To avoid disturbing construction, Su-woo hid back to the bedroom on the 2nd floor early. While using the control software on the laptop, the construction progress is remotely monitored. While playing games bored, I went online to browse the forums and read the news. The temperature rises in Antarctica, breaking through the historical extreme. Millions of cubic kilometers of glaciers may melt, and more than 100 coastal cities may be submerged. The strongest typhoon in history is about to land on the coast of Dongzhou. The City of Dawn will start at 8 p.m. tonight, and the city will be suspended for production and work. Be prepared to welcome the typhoon. Several disaster information entered Su-woo's vision. Similar news has been around every year. Generally, as long as you are not at the first scene of the disaster. Most people will not have any special feelings about this. It will only be regarded as ordinary environmental publicity and weather forecast. But just be careful. You will find that these news today are somewhat subtle, different from the past. Breakthrough, the strongest, and other words with strong ominous and suggestive appearances, frequently as if they don't have money. The signs of doomsday are becoming more and more obvious. Will the first wave of doomsday climate disasters be high temperatures? No mistakes, 1 song, 1 content, 1 in 6, 1 book, 1 bar, 1 reading. Su-woo clicked on the news and watched the video of a large number of glaciers falling into the sea in Antarctica. My heart was slightly awe-inspiring. He deliberately chose to build a shelter in the central part of the mainland. The main reason is to prevent possible tsunamis and sea level rises. As for stable geology, cheap prices, etc., it is second. It seems now. This decision is not wrong at all. At least he is likely to be the first scene where the doomsday is coming. Have more time to prepare. It's a pity that those people from coastal cities don't know how many people will survive in the end. Another news came out. Su-woo looked at a picture of a city where waves jumped out on the embankment, and children were playing and fighting on the embankment. I faintly smelled the breath of death. But he can't do anything about it. If it weren't for the reminder of the apocalyptic survival system, he would have been an ordinary member living in a coastal city. After watching the news, Su-woo opened the communication software again. A few days ago, in order to facilitate the planning of the shelter, he specially joined a large chat group established by several related enthusiasts. I learned a lot from it. At this time, one of the large groups of discussions caught his attention. In that group, there was a netizen named Chen Xian. It seems to be very scared of the news that Antarctic melts. Want to transfer to an inland city. However, most of the responses received were ridicule and dissuasion. Although most of the group are doomsday lovers. But in reality, few people really connect the doomsday with reality. In order to make a guess that is far away and not sure whether it is true or not, I made a big move to transfer and move. In their opinion, it is really too worrying. It is recommended to see how many regulated goods are already on the market now. It's actually very wise to leave the coast as soon as possible. Su-woo thought about it and replied to Chen Xian's words in the group. Then he didn't care about the many oppositions that were refreshed later, so he closed the group chat and focused on playing games. It's just a matter of 2 sentences. If a life can be saved, Su-woo would not be stingy with this little effort. But if the other party is too stupid, he will eventually follow the crowd. He wouldn't feel sorry, either. There is still a question mark whether human civilization can survive in the doomsday. A foolish person, just die if he dies. End of this chapter. Doomsday Disaster, start by building a shelter. Chapter 7, Collection Phone Number. Chapter 7, Collection Phone. Evening. Su-woo, who was tired of playing games, planned to get up and make a sumptuous meal to work himself. Before turning off the laptop, his gaze was casually drawn. I saw the netizen named Chen Xian and chatted about thanks for it privately. Obviously, the other party has made a decision because of his reminder. With a slight smile, Su-woo's mood became quite good. The following days. The process of excavating the underground shelter entered the acceleration stage after Su Wu added a cement mixing and irrigation machine to the engineering team. The entrance passage 10 meters deep underground is completed completely. The first floor of the underground space of the refuge has also been dug out. Follow the plan. The full version of the shelter will be a standard length cube with a length of 30 meters, a width of 20 meters and a height of 6 meters. The ceiling and the outermost fence should be poured with concrete and steel bars into a shell with a thickness of 1 meter. Because the floor will connect to the second floor below, it belongs to the interior part. The protection requirements are not high. Only use 30 centimeters thickness. It doesn't seem to be much space. But you have to know that Su Wu sold his house in a coastal city worth 6 million yuan. The indoor area is only 100 square meters, and the height is less than 3 meters. One shelter on one floor is almost the sum of the area of 6 houses. Including the height gap, the actual space is more than 10 times that of the latter. Not to mention living alone, even if you live in a dozen people, it is more than enough. It doesn't feel narrow at all. But as the project progresses, some troubles caused by insufficient preparation will also follow. I don't know if I don't build it. I really started working and discovered that a standard refuge is like a gold-swalking beast. It is completely different from the self-built houses in rural areas. May 15th afternoon. Su Wu looked through his laptop and watched the surveillance bags of cement and was sent to the mixer to stir. I can't help but have some headaches. Rely on survival points to cheat. Just like before making robot models. When he was building the shelter shell, he could already save as much as possible. The main body of the shell is mostly filled with construction waste such as scrap steel and almost no-cost broken cement blocks. Only a little cement was pasted on the outermost surface layer for temporary reinforcement. But even so, the cement and sand consumed were still far beyond expectations. According to the current consumption rate, it is estimated that before the first floor of the shelter is fully completed, it will be embarrassing that there is no material available. Sha is okay. If cement is available, it is no longer possible to buy it from regular merchants. We have to think of a way. As a man who grew up on the coast, Su Wu has no acquaintances or relationships in Jianghe City. But this does not mean that he has no choice. Open the second-hand trading market online. Su Wu directly searched for keywords such as cement building materials. It took some effort to filter out some fake sellers who sold dog meat with sheep's head. In the end, he really found a merchant that could provide the supply. 300 yuan per bag of cement. No delivery and shipping. Although I have made some psychological preparations in advance. After receiving the offer, Su Wu was still shocked. The price has increased by almost 15 times, and it is almost as good as the robbery. What's even more frustrating is that the seller's location is more than 400 kilometers away. If he wants to transport it, he has to find a way himself. Don't think it's expensive. It's all in this business, you should know. Cement has now become a national controlled material. Most of the inventory is collected by the top. The newly produced ones are even one bag taken away after leaving the factory. I am still secretly hiding stock items, and you don't want more. The seller responded to a lot of content. The attitude looks okay, but in fact it looks like you love to buy but not. I refuse to give up at all the discount. All right. You have a total of 1,000 bags of 50 tons of cement, right? I want them all. Let me find someone to pick up the goods later. Su Wu rubbed his forehead. After thinking about it, I simply wrapped all the seller's cement. The more money comes, the less valuable it is. Su Wu simply took this opportunity to completely clear out the money that was already left in his hand. No mistakes, one song, one content, 1 in 6, one book, one bar, one reading. What do you need to buy later? At worst, he bargains with an excavator. Negotiate a deal. Su Wu is in the seller's location again. I found 2 large trucks to help pick up the goods. The shipping fee is a little more expensive than finding an acquaintance. But Su Wu was too lazy to care about it if he could save a lot of time. I hope there will be no problems on the way. Su Wu was somewhat worried about picking up goods from other places, which were more than 400 kilometers away. But he had no other way except praying. May 16th. The sky was gloomy and the heavy rain poured down without warning. The 2 trucks carrying cement were naturally affected. Arrival time becomes far away. Su Wu hid in the bedroom on the 2nd floor, breathing at the faint water vapor floating in from the window. I clicked on the map anxiously and calculated the remaining distance of the truck over and over again. Hope they can arrive early. As a result, I couldn't wait for the driver's call, but instead received a call from the official. My cement needs to be collected. Is this your mandatory requirement? Su Wu's mood sank slightly. I didn't expect that I finally bought cement privately through a second-hand transaction. He can actually be targeted by the official. Not a mandatory requirement. It's just an emergency project under construction in our city, and there is still a lot of cement. So if you can, I hope you can support us. On the other end of the phone, the male voice who spoke politely on behalf of the official. There is no sense of arrogance or oppression of others with power. I'm sorry, this batch of cement is also very important to me. I can't let it go. Su Wu sighed and refused very directly. We are not levying it for free. After the project is completed, you will be given corresponding contribution points. Please believe you will never regret it in the future. The voices on the other side were neither anxious nor slow, and they did not become irritable because of Su Wu's rejection. It was obvious that they had great sincerity. He told him directly that he would be able to provide him with better treatment in the official shelter in the future. I know, it's just that my shelter is missing this batch of cement. There is really no way to give in. Su Wu shook his head and clarified the purpose of this batch of cement very clearly. Understood. I wish you a good start. The male voice representing the official was slightly silent for a while and stopped persuading him. Take the initiative to hang up the phone. Su Wu turned off the screen and played with his phone. An inexplicable feeling also surged in my heart. He might seem selfish when he does this. But he is just an ordinary person. It can't change much. All you can do is to make your life better. End of this chapter. Doomsday Disaster, start by building a shelter. Chapter 8, Charging Stations and Artificial Intelligence. Chapter 8, Charging Stations and Artificial Intelligence. Raise your head. Open on the laptop. The construction site outside the window is still displayed in real time. The majestic rainstorm did not stop the engineering team from operating. Excavation, reinforcement, transportation, everything is going on in an orderly manner. Slowly carve out the outline of the underground shelter bit by bit. After watching for a while, a new message popped up on the screen. Engineering robots are completed to manufacture large battery packs. Su Wu stood up. I came to the 1st floor and took out my umbrella and walked into the heavy rain. In the yard. The strong wind mixed in the heavy rain, with a hint of chill, poured into Su Wu's collar. Su Wu shrank his neck slightly, facing the resistance brought by the storm. Slowly move into the temporary shed. After finding the battery that had just been completed, Su Wu reached out and held it down, silently thinking about upgrading. After a white light. The size of a suitcase and the appearance of silver-white metal square appears in place. High-energy battery pack. Maximum stored power, 10,000 kilowatt-hours. Included with wireless charging component, wireless charging can be provided within a radius of 100 meters. Note, a simple and removable small charging station. After looking at the system panel, this upgrade only consumed 5 survival points. Less than expected. If you have the chance in the future, you must remove a few more batteries. Try to upgrade more battery packs. This upgrade was not in Su Wu's earliest plan. It belongs to an extra line jump. But its existence is very necessary. A set of high-energy batteries. It is equivalent to adding an insurance policy to the logistics energy supply of the shelter. Even if the geothermal generator fails in the future, it will not immediately affect the operation of the entire shelter. It can also act as a power reservoir. Store the excess power normally produced by the geothermal generator to avoid waste. In terms of profit, the sooner the high-energy battery pack is, the greater the benefits. Connect the high-energy battery pack and the output port of the geothermal generator to let it hang there to charge. Su Wu turned around and returned to the room. I took a shower and changed into clean clothes. Go upstairs to the bedroom. Seeing that the survival points are sufficient, I upgraded the laptop on the desk. He had wanted to do this long ago. It's a pity that upgrading your laptop requires a total of 15 survival points. And there are many items, and their importance ranks ahead of it. As a result, it has been delayed until now, so it has been considered as having to pay enough upgrade fees. A light flashed. The original black laptop has turned into a more sci-fi silver white. Su Wu tried to turn on the computer. It was discovered that the upgraded laptop computer had a hard disk capacity of 1000 PB, which was exactly 100,000 times the previous one. The computing performance is even more comparable to that of a small supercomputer. Of course, while the performance is improved, the power consumed has become very terrifying. At full load, 100 kilowatt-hours of electricity is required per hour. Relying on the power of the laptop's own battery, it can only last for an hour. In addition to the greatly improved hardware performance, there is also a supporting primary artificial intelligence in the laptop. Be able to perform some simple tasks on his behalf. Su Wu fiddled for a while. Name this primary artificial intelligence Luo Tianyi. Then transfer all the control authority of the engineering team. Suddenly, the connection between the units of the entire engineering team became smoother, and the movements were as clever as if they were given life. The efficiency has been significantly improved. It seems that the so-called automatic operation is also classified into levels. The stronger the computing power, the higher the efficiency. Su Wu was thinking about this unexpected joy. Observe for a while. It was found that the task of commanding the construction of the engineering team did not occupy a high amount of computing power on the laptop. It also continued to add a long-term task to it very simply. Priority is given to textual information, and all public information on the internet is collected and downloaded. This task. It looks simple. In fact, it is due to many human interference on the internet. If Su Wu collects it manually, it will take time and effort. I don't even know where to find a lot of information. But if artificial intelligence is replaced, there will be no problems. No mistakes, one song, one content, 1 in 6, one book, one bar, one reading. The only limitation is the download speed of the network itself. Afternoon. The heavy rain gradually stopped. 2 trucks carrying cement finally arrived in front of Su Wu's door. Su Wu suspended work on construction robots and microtransport vehicles. Under the amazing gaze of the 2 truck drivers, they were asked to take charge of unloading the goods. Brother, you're high-tech. Efficiency is higher than that of 3 or 5 workers combined. The driver, who was idle, talked to Su Wu. No way. It's not easy to find someone now. Su Wu shrugged and said helplessly. In fact, you can find someone if you really want to find it, but they are all temporary workers. There is no need to think about efficiency, it is better to use a robot to save time and worry. Speaking of it, we are, too. The people who work diligently are usually hired by the government. It is said that what kind of civil defense project is to be built. The truck driver also sighed. Do you think it's possible that it's almost the end of the world as rumored on the internet? Maybe. Look at the current abnormal market conditions. I can't tell what will happen. Su Wu randomly echoed, neither agreeing nor denying it. Unloading is completed. It's almost evening. After seeing off 2 truck drivers, Su Wu also directed the construction robots to lay tarp cloth for the newly purchased cement. These things may not be easily obtained even if they are bartered in the future. It must be taken care of. May 22nd. After a week of accumulation, Su Wu, who had once again collected enough survival points, added a mini excavator, a mini transport vehicle and a construction robot. Double the construction team. It greatly improves mining efficiency. May 28th. The initial excavation of the first underground space with a total of 600 square meters was completed. Su Wu consumed one survival point and finally reinforced the main body of the entire first-level space. Let the construction waste, steel bars, and outermost concrete fill the walls truly blend together. The construction engineering team began to gradually withdraw and prepared to continue digging down the second underground floor. The same afternoon. The second floor of the farmyard, bedroom. Su Wu, who had always seemed a little idle, began to plan and design the part of the shelter after the completion. He turned on his laptop and compared the original shelter drawings above, as well as a bunch of reference materials he searched for. I fell into a long state of thinking. This time the choice will determine the starting point of his refuge and the functions he originally had. End of this chapter. Doomsday Disaster, start by building a shelter. Chapter 9, Hydroponic Farm. Chapter 9, Hydroponic Farm. The main body of the entire refuge is located 10 meters underground. It connects the underground layer to the surface through a sloping passage. At the first floor of the basement, near the shelter exit passage, a disinfection room, a garage and a dressing room can be placed to provide services for future shelter access. At the same time, it can also be equipped with a large lifting platform about 20 square meters, enough to carry the vehicle. From the first floor of the underground, to the second floor of the underground, and even deeper underground. On the laptop, Su Wu planned the space allocation inside the shelter bit by bit. And after first identifying several necessary basic functional areas. Facing the first underground floor, there is a full 500 square meters of vast space left. Su Wu thought about it for more than half an hour before finally deciding to divide them into a 200 square meter rice planting area and a 300 square meter vegetable planting area. In the end of material scarcity. In addition to electricity. The most important thing is undoubtedly food. Only by having food and ensuring the most basic survival can we talk about other things. Therefore, establishing a self-sufficient food and vegetable production site is the primary event. The rice and vegetable growing areas built inside the shelter are naturally different from ordinary farmland outside. It is mainly based on soilless cultivation. Replace sunlight with artificial growth lights, providing a suitable growth environment for rice and vegetables. At the same time, in order to make full use of every inch of land inside the shelter, the rice planting area will be divided into 4 layers in the form of shelves. Vegetable planting is divided into 10 layers. The actual planting area was expanded to 800 square meters and 3,000 square meters respectively. More than 1 acre of rice planting area. In an appropriate environment created by artificially, the growth cycle is expected to be reduced to 4 months, and it can produce about 1,600 kilograms of rice. Enough to supply the daily needs of at least 10 people. Su Wu's expected output. Strictly speaking, it is actually quite conservative. Some high-yield hybrid rice can achieve 1.5 times or even twice the expected yield. But this is not necessary. The taste of high-yield hybrid rice is much lower than that of normal rice. In situations where you can, Su Wu hopes to improve his quality of life as much as possible. As for the vegetable planting area of 3,000 square meters and nearly 5 acres of land, Su Wu chose to grow varieties that mainly grow faster: lettuce, cabbage, spinach, cabbage and other varieties. Then combine it with a small amount of tomatoes, cucumbers and other common vegetables. The former focuses on efficiency and output. Mainly used for trading with other shelters outside the world. The latter focuses on quality and is specially used to keep Su Wu to improve his food himself. The various resources Su Wu has reserved can only be said to be barely enough. Just now, the framework of a personal shelter was built. Want to live better and expand the size of the shelter? Continuous foreign trading must be passed. This is also one of the significance of the existence of vegetable growing areas. The main varieties of vegetable grown were identified. Su Wu hesitated for a moment. We simply added strawberries, grapes, pineapples and other fruit planting plants. These are also supplied to shelters for daily use. Even considering eating fruits usually may be much more than eating vegetables. The planting area allocated to these fruits is quite vast, with a total of more than 600 square meters. Highlight a luxury and willfulness. That's it for the time being. After making all the plans for the underground floor of the shelter, Su-woo stretched. A rare feeling surged in my heart. His own refuge finally started to build something. Although there is only one layer for the time being. But in an emergency, it was enough for him to survive in it for a long time. On the premise that the doomsday is coming. Nothing can make people feel happy and at ease. With planning, the next construction will no longer be a problem. The engineering team first made the frame of the large lifting platform. Then it was upgraded through Su-woo using the survival point and officially put into use. Then the construction team was divided into two. Excavators and transport vehicles continued to dig the space on the second floor of the underground. The engineering robot and two construction robots began to be near the lifting platform on the ground floor. Build disinfection rooms, dressing rooms and garages. From time to time in the middle, go to the second floor of the underground to reinforce the newly excavated space. Considering that the second underground floor is close to the rock layer, the simple excavator is inefficient. Relying on the survival points, it is quite abundant. Su-woo has specially upgraded a professional gravel car to join the construction team. After 24 hours of busy life. Inside the first floor of the shelter, it is made of 3 robots. Various pipeline lines, partition walls, vents and other infrastructure have been laid. There are only 2 soilless cultivation areas left, and construction has not started yet. May 31st. On the last day of May. The first underground floor of the refuge is officially completed. With a full 5 survival points, a set of semi-automatic unmanaged equipment was added to the 2 planting areas. Su-woo named the underground floor the hydroponic farm. Let it start running officially. No mistakes, 1 song, 1 content, 1 in 6, 1 book, 1 bar, 1 reading. Plant the corresponding rice, vegetables and fruits according to the planned categories. Having said that, it is necessary to mention one thing. Since the problem of growing fruits was not considered in advance, the seeds and seedlings of many fruits were not prepared in advance. You can only go out and buy it on the market temporarily. Fortunately, these things are basically available in seed stores. Su-woo didn't spend much effort. So I used some canned food and grain to trade them all. No delay in the production of hydroponic farms. At the same time, it's still on this day. Through the primary artificial intelligence Luo Tianyi, Su-woo searched for a bad news from the internet that was not known to the outside world for the time being. Deep in the African Rift Valley, a large tribe lives in the place of residence. At around 9:20 a.m., the ambient temperature broke through the global historical extreme value in a short period of time, reaching an ultra-high temperature of 155 degrees. Thousands of people in the entire tribe all died of dehydration under the extreme high temperature, and no one survived. The end of the world has come. Browse through the federal government rescue team and heading to take pictures. Su-woo vaguely realized that it might not be an isolated case, but the real beginning of the apocalypse. For a moment, I felt a tremor involuntarily. There was both tension and a hint of anxiety about the future in my eyes. No matter how well prepared it is. The fragile body of human beings is as small as dust in the face of a disaster that changes the world. June 1st. The disaster spreads faster than expected. This morning, the second extreme high temperature point appears over the Antarctic. Countless glaciers are visible at a speed visible to the naked eye. Rapid melting and evaporating. Above the ocean, hurricanes roar and heavy rains poured. A few hours later, the nearest coastal city to Antarctica. Devoured by the sudden tsunami. There are more than 200,000 people in the entire city, and there is no news. And it is thousands of miles away. The coastal city of Dongzhou. At the same time as this tsunami appeared, a long-lasting alarm was sounded. All TV stations have begun to repeatedly broadcast emergency announcements issued by the federal government. Residents living in these coastal cities and ports are required to immediately evacuate to the inland highlands for refuge. But an evacuation operation involving millions, even tens of millions of people. It is simply impossible to achieve in a short period of time. The 10th hour after the alarm sounded. The first evacuated teams have just left the coastal plains. Advanced towards the inland highlands. More people are still stranded in coastal cities. Race against death. Waiting for the verdict of fate. End of this chapter. Doomsday Disaster. Start by building a shelter. Chapter 10, The First Sign of Doomsday. Chapter 10, The First Sign of Doomsday. And in reality and on the internet, there is a turbulence. Central East Continent. Suburbs of Jianghe City. Su Wu hid in the bedroom of his yard, and was in a mood to swim various forums. Perhaps the evacuation and resettlement of tens of millions of people has attracted a considerable amount of the official attention. The information that was originally strictly regulated has now spread a lot on the internet. Su Wu even saw several disaster investigation reports from within the federal government. According to the investigation report, it is certain that in the next month to 1.5 months, the global average temperature will rise to more than 60 degrees, and the highest may reach about 100 degrees. The surface will no longer be suitable for ordinary people. There is at least 1 month left. This is not good news, but it is not bad either. At least, knowing a clear deadline is better than knowing nothing about the future. Su Wu thought about it carefully. It was calculated that according to the current construction progress, the second and third floors of the underground should be completed by then, and there is no big problem when moving in. I felt much more at ease in my heart. The construction progress of the shelter was confirmed. Su Wu became a little idle for a moment. The construction of the shelter is under the responsibility of engineering teams and junior artificial intelligence, so he does not need to intervene. The only thing he can do is to contact foreign transactions or inquire about information. After thinking about it, Su Wu opened the chat group. At this time, in the Doomsday chat group, it was like an ant nest that exploded, and dozens of new messages could pop up every second. Any online group member can't help but jump out and say a few words. Express your shock at the major incident of the transfer of tens of millions of people along the coast. However, after the initial excitement, the content in the chat group later was not all meaningless. Su Wu saw several local tyrants who were suspected of having a shelter in their hands and were trying to buy some shortage of resources. Certainly. In the current news that the doomsday is coming, it is almost half public. Few people will trade in cash again, and they are basically bartering. There are a lot of excavators around Jianghe City, including electric picks and hammers. You can trade steel, rubber, and food, and discuss in detail. Slide down the chat record, and a purchase information attracted Su Wu's attention. He is in Jianghe City and has the ability to manufacture excavators, which meets the conditions for the transaction. As a refuge and one of the main raw materials for manufacturing various mechanical equipment, steel is undoubtedly a strategic resource that he will never think of. With a moving heart, Su Wu found the other party to have a private chat. Will the micro-excavator be collected? After asking, Su Wu sent a few pictures of the micro-excavator, specific parameters, etc. Want 2 tons of initially processed steel, exchange it for a micro-excavator. You need as much as you can. The other person responded quickly, and it was obvious that he was in a very anxious mood. According to the normal market price in the past, the price of a ton of primary processing of steel is about 12,000 yuan. 20 tons are almost the same as 8 micro-excavators. Now it is only used to exchange one, which obviously makes a lot of concessions. But this is normal. After all, steel is just raw materials, and it takes time to digest it, and not everyone can use it. Excavators are currently in short supply and can really be used to expand the living space of refuges. For some forces that get news very late but want to establish a shelter, it's totally worth the huge price to get it. Is there any scrap iron? Su Wu did not rush to agree and continue to ask. For him, there is little difference between scrap iron and preliminarily processed steel. But their prices vary greatly. It's a little bit to save. Yes, but not much. There are only 200 or 300 tons of scrap iron in the warehouse. If you want it, you can change it to one of 100 tons. And you have to find someone to come back to our factory. The load capacity of ordinary trucks is only about 5 tons. It takes at least dozens of trips to run for more than 200 tons. It didn't matter in the past. But every bit of manpower and every portion of oil are extremely precious now. This is not a service that can be given away easily. I will exchange 3 micro-excavators for all your inventory scrap iron. The insufficient part will be converted into primary processing steel for me in proportion. No mistakes, 1 song, 1 content, 1 in 6, 1 book, 1 bar, 1 reading. Suwoo thought about it and decided to wrap all the scrap iron into pieces. As for trading items, the micro-excavators in the engineering team naturally cannot move. Nothing can affect the construction progress of the shelter. Moreover, the transaction does not use such a high-end version. The diesel version mini excavator with 2 survival points is enough to meet the conditions. Negotiate a deal. It is agreed that delivery will start tomorrow. Suwoo switched back to the console on the laptop. Let the engineering robot temporarily put down the task at hand and start prioritizing the manufacturing of 3 mini excavator models. Then he got up and went downstairs and slipped to the simple garage in the yard. Now even the serious local tyrants on the market who can build their own shelters lack the ability to transport goods. Suwoo, who was already short of money, naturally would not want to hire drivers and trucks easily. If you want to solve the transportation problem, you can only find a way to get a truck by yourself and then pick up the goods by yourself. There are no good cars in the garage. There is only 1 used van for gasoline and a used tractor for diesel. After taking a look at the van, Suwoo quickly gave up on it. The van has a load capacity of only 1 ton and has a small space, so it is not suitable to transport bulk cargo. In comparison, there is a used tractor with a large truck behind. Instead, it is more durable and can be used to attract more goods. Farm 2-wheel drive tractor. Speed, 32 km/h. Fuel consumption, 7 liters/hour. Loading, 3 tons. Upgradable direction, integrated truck, diesel version, 3 survival points, integrated truck, electric drive version, 5 survival points. Upgradable suboptions, armor, off-road, speed, battery life, temperature insulation, radiation resistance, purification, electronic information. Perhaps it is a large-scale equipment, or perhaps it is a complete and available product itself. After Suwoo focused his attention on the tractor. On the attribute list that pops up in his field of view, there is an additional line of upgradable suboptions that have never been seen before. 1 or more additional attributes specified therein can be selected to add additional functionality to the upgraded tractor. Suwoo thought for a while and selected armor among the many suboptions. This choice made him spend 3 extra survival points and invest about 2 tons of steel raw materials. As for the main upgradable direction, it is undoubtedly an electric drive version of an all-in-one truck. Suwoo is not short of electricity now, but diesel and gasoline are lacking. If you use the latter, you have to stay in a trap if you can't run a few times, and you have no practical value at all. On the contrary, when using electricity, you can run whatever you want, and the transportation cost is almost 0. End of this chapter.